All right, guys. Want to just jump right into this interview. I'm super excited for this today. Today, I got Nellie Bird from Legend Canine Retreat, and she's just going to tell us about her experience with working with me. So, Nellie, why don't you just jump right in and tell everyone about how it's been going for you so far?
Awesome. I'd love to. Yeah. Earlier this year, I decided to start my own dog training business after working under lots of different trainers, lots of different companies. It just felt like the right time to do it. And at first, I had a lot of different clients based on word of mouth. And then as those dogs all started to graduate, and I was looking at different ways to advertise. And Kevin reached out to me, and we had our little consultation. I felt pretty good about it, and it took a little bit of time to think about it just in case. But talked to a couple actually dog trainer friends that also go through Kevin's advertising, and they only had great things to say about him. And so I decided to go for it, and it's been the best decision ever.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
A lot of clients, have come from that advertising. I don't have to spend hours and hours on end looking for clients and calling people and emailing people and all that kind of stuff, where it's only maybe one or two of those will actually turn into clients. So that has been really nice, because now I can focus on the dogs that I do have. I can take more dogs because I'm getting more calls. And now I'm to a point where I'm having to get more trainers so that we can keep up with, all the
demand,
the income and all the demand. So
that's awesome.
It's been great.
Yeah, that's really cool to see, Nellie. Yeah, so do everyone a favor, just share a little bit about your background as a dog trainer, your kind of roots and stuff like that. And that way, I think it's just important, because that way people can see, like, hey, where you started, maybe where someone's at right now, and just kind of hearing your story and your journey. I would love to hear some more about that.
Definitely. Yeah, I started, I think it was 2016. I found someone to do a internship with. Someone was calling me.
I can hear you now. You're good.
Okay, good. So at first I didn't really know dog training was a thing. So I actually took a vet tech class. And through that class, we had some different speakers come out, and I got to meet someone that was a dog trainer. And basically I worked my butt off to be able to show them that I wanted to work with them. It started off as an internship, so I worked for free for them, basically kennel tech duties, and in exchange I sat in on lessons. I did that for a little while, and they offered me a job eventually. But I didn't want to just be a trainer based off of working under somebody. I wanted more than that. So I started researching trade schools, and I decided to go to Star Mark Academy out in Texas. And that was an awesome idea.
Yeah.
One of the best times of my life. It's school that I've completely enjoyed. I mean, yeah, there's some lectures, but it's a lot of hands-on. They assign you certain shelter dogs, and your tests are that the dogs have to listen the first time to whatever it is that they're testing you on. So it can be a little bit difficult, but it made me a really good trainer. And I had some hard dogs. So that was pretty great. So after that, I've worked for a couple different companies. I worked for a hunting dog trainer for a little while, then ended up moving back here to Utah and started my own business for a little bit, but it was just kind of like word of mouth stuff while I had a part-time gig as a kennel tech for a second. I ended up working for a company called Sit Means Sit Dog Training for a little bit. And I've also worked for Dogtown Pet Spa. And they're basically, so this is kind of my third go around of starting my own business. The reason why I say that is
that you're like a true entrepreneur.
Right? Yeah. The first time, it was all just like word of mouth, and like I was really cheap, didn't charge very much. It was just kind of out of my parents' house because that's where I lived at the time. And the second time it was with this company called Dogtown Pet Spa. And I was with them for a couple years. They didn't have a dog training business at all, and they knew that I had a dog training business. The owner approached me, and we decided that we'd figure something out. And so I developed a whole program for them and started that, and made them a lot of money within the years that I was with them. So after a couple years with them, basically, long story short, I decided I needed to leave and go start my own thing. And so now I'm to a point where I've made enough mistakes. I've kind of figured out what works, and I'm still learning, but
totally
I feel a lot more confident in figuring it all out now. So I'm really happy with that.
Cool. Good.
So here we are. This year I started my own business, and again, I get a lot of word of mouth, but it's not enough to keep us fully busy all the time. And so having that additional paid advertising really does make a difference so that we can make the money we need to and even more, and stay busy with clients. So
exactly. And so do me a favor, just share, like, what were some of the strategies that you were doing before we started working together as far as like client acquisition goes? Like, what were you doing to just bring in new leads every month?
So around like the summer, we actually went out to a lot of different parades, and we handed out business cards and pamphlets. Based on that, like, I had different sign-up sheets where people would give us their information, but then again, I have to sit there and call them and email them and hope that they respond. And a lot of those people don't end up signing up. So a lot of it was that. It was posting on Facebook. I wasn't paying for Facebook ads. I was paying for just some general Google ads, but I'd never really done that before. And then just, going out to things and trying to get people's information so we could schedule them for consultations.
Awesome. Yeah. And I mean, listen, that has its time and place, right? Like when you're first starting out at your business, you don't have necessarily the cash to invest, and everyone's been there before. So doing stuff like that, like I encourage people to do that, get in front of people any way you can. There's no one way of advertising. It's all about just, getting more eyeballs on your business, more traffic. But you're exactly right. I mean, that way of doing it, my experience with that is it doesn't really scale that well. So when it comes time to like really try and grow your business, you're like, well, what am I going to do? Go to more parades, hand out more business cards, make more phone calls. I mean, you could do that, but they're just
expensive and time consuming.
And it's just not the most efficient way to spend your time. Right. So yeah, I mean, tell me a little bit more about like what your experience has been like once we started running the paid traffic in your business.
I got a lot of calls, and we made a couple different changes when I started working with you. Before, I was charging for consultations, and when I started working with you, I made the consultations free, and it has made a huge impact.
Good.
I've even been able, even since we started, I've increased my prices.
That's what I love to hear.
And I can do that because I feel like what I'm providing.
I
feel like what I'm providing for them and the programs that they buy is something they can't get anywhere else. So I feel confident and really happy with what I'm offering them, and I feel like it's worth what they're paying. A lot of that confidence comes out in that consultation. And then I've got, I do before and after videos of training dogs, and I can show that to people. I've got reviews that I show to people and all that kind of stuff. And it really helps going into a consultation, doing it free and telling them what their dog is capable and showing them the before and after of some of these dogs. And it's incredible just to see the look on their face. I've even had some people be like, I don't think my dog could ever do that. And I'll be like, I'll take that bet. Let's do it. And then they're just shocked at the end. They're so happy. And there's nothing like that. That's the rush that I get, with how happy they are. And with that turnaround that a lot of these dogs make, because I take a lot of aggressive dogs. I take a lot of dogs that people don't think would ever be controllable off leash, and turn them into this perfect dog.
Exactly. So before we were working together, you were doing paid consultations, right? I think this is a thing that a lot of people do because they feel like, I want to get paid for my time, right? I don't want to like go out to this person's house or meet them at this park or have them come to me, spend a half hour with them or whatever it may be, and not get paid for that. But my thinking on this, and it sounds like you agree with this, and this has kind of been your experience too, is that at the end of the month, like look at it on 30-day cycles, right? And just look at like the change in revenue. Like, are you doing overall more revenue in the month when you're offering free consultations, giving a little bit of value upfront away to people versus like trying to get like $50 for the consultation or $75, whatever it is. And then, having that just be an extra obstacle that lead needs to get over in order to really even want to meet with you in the first place.
Yeah, I would definitely say that we have a lot more revenue because we do the free consultations. Unfortunately, just having to pay, whether it be $35, $50, $75 for consultation, it turns off a lot of different people. Because they know that they have that option to go either way, and they know they have that option. They're not losing a little bit of money, but they're then paying thousands of dollars to us, whereas that's a lot more worth it. So it's definitely worth our time to do those for free.
Exactly. It's like, would you rather have the chance to make a sale for $3,000 or $4,000, whatever it may be, or ensure that you get $50 up front, you know? And then the thing is you're just going to get a lot of people who say, oh, let me think about it. Let me talk to my husband or my wife and call you back or whatever. And then you never hear from them again, versus just, you know, the thing is this is like, when you're doing it right as a dog trainer, in my opinion, right? Like you're selling it, you have a high ticket offer, right? You have a board and train, or even if you're just doing private lessons and you have a high ticket offer, because you can differentiate yourself and really offer really good value to people and make them feel like, hey, this is the person I need to work with. And in order to do that, like we need to give something away to them to show them that we're like, you know, there's a saying in sales that people buy from people that they know, like, and trust, right? So we have to get them to know us so that they can like and trust us. And that's what the free consultation enables us to do, is like build that relationship with people so that they feel comfortable handing you a check. Because I don't know about you, like I always use this example. If someone was going to remodel my bathroom and told me over a 5-minute conversation, hey, it's going to be $4,000, I'd want to probably know a little bit more about that person versus just saying, okay, here's my card. When can you come over and start working?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I want to be able to build that trust. And I feel like our consultations are a lot more personable, where we spend a lot of, you know, one-on-one time with them as well. And it's made a huge difference.
Good.
Just being able to do that.
How do you, so just do me a favor, go a little bit into like, how do you structure your consultation? What is it like? What are you trying to accomplish? What are you trying to show people? What questions are you asking them when you go?
So I have a consultation form that we just print out, and we take our contract and everything as well. So we go there, we meet the dog. You know, if there's any big severe things we need to evaluate, we'll do a quick evaluation of the dog, see how they act in different interactions. And then basically we sit down, we ask a bunch of questions about the dogs. We find out where they come from, if it's a genetic thing that's causing the issues. We ask behavioral issue questions. Has the dog ever bitten people? And we get basically every single little story and piece of information that we possibly can to find out why the behavior is happening.
Right.
So lots of different stuff like that. We just kind of go over, I mean, I guess I could go over all my questions with you, but I feel like they're just kind of general things.
Yeah, absolutely.
How does your dog act in certain scenarios, all that kind of stuff. And so from there, you know, if they feel, then we kind of pitch our programs. So we tell them our different programs. We recommend one based on all the information we've been given. And then they, you know, if needed, we can then demo a dog for them. Oftentimes they just sign up, or they're like, okay, give us a little bit of time to think about it. But then again, like I mentioned, we do have we have some online videos that we give them. We've got our Facebook page that has like good reviews and the before and after videos of the dogs. And so that has really made a big impact for a lot of these people. So
that's awesome. Wait, so will you share like a video with somebody like while you're at their home, or will you send that to them prior, like the before and afters?
I'll send it to them
before you go, right?
Yeah, it'll be the before. A little bit of both. Sometimes I don't have time to send it before, so sometimes it'll be after.
Yeah, but that's if you can do stuff like that, it's super smart, right? Because then you've gone in and they have more context about what you're able to like accomplish as a dog trainer, and they're kind of warmed up. You know, you've kind of warmed them up already. You're like, hey, this is what we can do. And then when they say, I'm not sure if my dog could ever do that, and you're like, hey, this is exactly what this person was saying, right? Like we can do this. Now, will you ever do any demoing with their dog or any work with their dog on the spot? No, you don't even touch their dog. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll meet their dog and start building a little bit of a relationship with the dog, but no, I won't start demoing on their dogs.
Yeah. Now, what do you feel like is like the number one thing? Because it sounds like you have like a really good conversion rate when you go out and you meet with people. Like, let me ask you this: like, if you meet with 10 people, how many people would you say sign on as clients out of every 10?
Probably 8.
That's so unbelievably good. Yeah. But I mean, it's like, this is the benefit of doing these free consultations, right? Like this is why we do this, because if you can go out and you know that I meet with 10 people, 8 people will say yes, and you're selling a program for $3,000, right? Not everyone's going to sign on at that price point, but just using that number, right? It's literally $24,000. Like who wouldn't go and meet with 10 different people, ask them some questions, send them some videos, and get them to ask them to sign a contract to make 24 grand. It's like, to me, it's a no brainer. And you can get so hung up on, I'm not going to get paid my $75 for this consultation though. It's like, would you rather have $75 or would you rather have 24 grand? You know?
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it, at least.
Yeah, exactly. That's, I mean, at the beginning where my goal was like, hey, let's make 8,000 a month.
Yeah.
75 meant something, but now where we're almost every single month, we're trying to get to 20,000. $50 means nothing now. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's awesome. And then you also kind of, another thing that you had shifted is we had spoken and you were having people come to you for a while, right? You were having the consultations come into your facility, right? So what has your experience been since you made that shift?
It's a lot easier for them if we go out to their house.
Yeah.
And I actually end up preferring it anyway, because a lot of the time the dogs are so scared and nervous in this new environment that I don't actually get a good read off of them.
Mm-hmm.
Because some of these dogs will be aggressive, but only inside their home.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I go inside their home, it's a lot more convenient for the client, and I am able to get a better evaluation off of the dog.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. You have like travel time, but
Mm-hmm.
honestly, it's really never that bad. We don't, we probably cover about a 30-minute drive, but that's about it. So
yeah. And that's the cool thing is like the area that you're in is so densely populated that we were able to essentially to say, hey, we're just going to cover this part of Salt Lake. And so at least when the ads are coming, people are coming in off the ads, like nobody's an hour and a half away, so you're really driving max 30 minutes. And it's just, the way I look at it is we live in a world where, we're so wired for instant gratification and convenience that when you have to ask somebody to do something like come to you for the consultation, there's a chance they might just not show up, right? And it's nothing malicious most of the time. Sometimes it's like, oh, I forgot about my son's soccer practice, or I forgot I had that doctor's appointment or something like that. Or they just, maybe they're just like, I just don't feel like doing that today, But when you're going to them, it's like, it's so unbelievably convenient. You're going to their home and, then you get to make them that offer. And it sounds like, it doesn't sound like you are doing an awesome job when you make them the offer and you're, closing at such a high rate that it's like, again, who cares about the $75? Who cares about the 30 minutes of driving there? If you leave with $3,000, it's beyond worth it every single time, Yep. So, let's just, if you don't mind, let's get into numbers a little bit. So we started working together a couple of months ago. And so what were you doing like revenue wise before we started running the ads?
I will pull it up, but
just ballpark. Yeah, go ahead.
Just ballpark it.
Yeah.
Okay. The first month I think was like 6,000, and the second one I think was 8.
Mm-hmm.
And like I was happy with that, and as I started working with you, my goal was 12,000 at first. Mm-hmm. And then we easily hit that. And so then I shot for 16, and then I decided to get another trainer. Now we're shooting for 20. And so, at first, I was happy with the small amounts, but as things continued, I knew we were capable of a lot more. Yeah. And so that's kind of where it's been at, where last month was a little harder on us just because, again, I kind of took a vacation. We had some other stuff going on, but this month we're going to hit our 20. Yeah. The month before last, we hit 22. The month before that, we were like at 18. So we're doing really well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and you do that like every single month, you do 20,000 every single month, you have $250,000 business every single year. And the thing is, that's so cool about this and why I love paid advertising and the system that you kind of implemented with consultations is that, now that you can also scale your business to essentially whatever you want to, because you haven't even really tapped into a fraction of, the search volume that's available in your area. There's so much more like business that you can garner. Right. So right now, I mean, the reason that you're kind of like at this $20,000 threshold too, is a piece of it, it sounds like, is almost like you're kind of limited on space too, right? And just like availability with trainers, right? So if you want to grow, you can just take more people on to accommodate more dogs. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, I have a lot of different connections with different trainers. I'm already considering getting a third one come spring, possibly, if things consider to go or continue to go this well. So
yeah, awesome.
but yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's super cool to watch because, you know, I feel like a lot of people, their mindset when they start a business is that they have to pay their dues, right? They have to sit there, they have to grind it out. Like, oh, this was a slow month. That's just kind of what happens when you're starting a business. I only did $2,000 or $1,800 this month or whatever it is. I'm like, it doesn't need to be that way. If you strategically invest in your business, you can grow at a much more rapid rate. But the other thing too is that you need to, you know, properly structure your programs and price them well. And you've done a very good job at that, right? And not undervaluing yourself. And you said before that you've already raised your prices. Is that something that you're considering doing again?
Right now I'm pretty happy with where they're at, but maybe in the future I'll look into it.
Let me ask you this: like, what's your most commonly sold board and train program, and what's the cost of that right now?
So we've got different types of programs. If we're looking at board and trains, a 2-week is 2,200 and a 3-week is 3,500.
Awesome.
And anything, if they want any more than that, which they usually don't, but if they want anything more than that, it's another 1,500.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah. But we also do different day and train packages as well that are 6-week programs, 8-week programs, 12-week programs, and they can get to those same results. And it's a lot more one-on-one with the owners as well, and they love that. And that opens up an ability to take a lot more clients as well. So
awesome. And like, so what are you like charging right now for a day train program? Is it close to, like, for a week worth of training, close to the board and train, or is it significantly cheaper than that? Like, how does that look for you?
So I've actually found that we can make more money if we do less board and trains and more of the day and train programs.
Yeah.
So our 3-week off leash board and train, we've converted into a 12-week program that's a combination of day and trains and private lessons.
Cool.
Our 2-week has been converted into a 6 to 8-week day and train and private lesson program.
Okay.
For the 2,200.
Awesome.
So same prices, same results, is just kind of more spread out. We are able to do a lot more one-on-one with the owners, and we've made some online videos that we give everybody access to, and that has helped them as well. And I have one smaller program that's just 3 private lessons, and I charge $750 for that. They also get the online videos.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about, like, private training. It's like, you're breaking that down. It's $250 a lesson. Like, that's kind of like $200 is what I encourage people, like, minimum. We're not selling it based on, like, hey, it's $250 a lesson or $200 a lesson, because that's just a huge roadblock. But, like, for your breakdown, for your purposes, like, it shouldn't be under $200 a lesson. You know, you got to stay away from that whole, like, $50, $100 a lesson. It's just takes way too much work, way too many clients to make any money at it. So when you do your day trains, are they basically 5 days a week, or are they 7 days a week? How does it work? Or is it even less than 5 days a week?
Actually, it's 1 day a week.
It's 1 day a week. Interesting.
Yeah. But the dog, with a day and train, the dog is with me for about 8 to 10 hours a day. I work 4 days a week, 10 to 12 hour shifts. So, and that works really well for me because I kind of get it done, and then I have 3 days off. So it's nice.
Yeah, that is cool. Yeah, because I see a lot of people feeling like if they're doing a day train, they need to do 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, then send the dog home. So your day training is just 1 day a week. That dog's with you essentially for the whole day, and then you're going to do that for 6 weeks, say. And then, like, you also people also get included, like, one-on-one private training lessons as well.
Exactly. Yeah, when they come pick up the dog, we have a one-on-one session with them, and then when we do their private lessons, I do go out to their house or public areas where the dog is struggling, and we work the issues there.
So it's just when they pick that dog up, they get that one private with you.
So every day in train, when they come pick up their dog, because it's
every day. Okay, cool.
Yes.
That makes much more sense. Yeah.
They have a lot more one-on-one training. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
Whereas with a board and train, you have all those days and all that time to work with the dog, but you take time off, you still have the dogs with you.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you really only have one go home lesson and then maybe some follow-up privates where
Yeah.
with this, I'm working with the owner every single day.
Yeah. And I love that, because the thing is, like, when you first become a dog trainer, you open up a dog training business, it seems so tempting to be like, board and trains are like, like the golden goose, and you're like, if I can just get board and trains every single month, I'm going to be loaded. But then you realize that, like, you have to have this dog with you 24/7 for weeks at a time. And yeah, it's going to get easier as time goes on. My dog Sadie's making an appearance in the background here. But as time goes on, like the training will get easier, and like managing your time with that dog, because now they've become, now they're trained. But especially in the beginning, it's got to be a lot of work, right? When you're taking like a dog that has no foundation, and you have a couple of them too, that can be a lot, very time consuming and like work intensive.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll do some board and trains and I'll do some day and trains, and when I go in for the consultation, like I said, I get a really good read off of what is going to be the best scenario for one, the dog, and two, the owners, because not every owner is able to commit to the time that it's going to take to get to the point where they need to, if we're just working once a week. And so maybe the board and train is good for them. But
yeah, exactly. Now, Nellie, let me ask you this. This is something that I think a lot of dog trainers struggle with when it comes to scheduling consultations. When you first get a phone call, or you're calling somebody who submitted like a form to you or something like that, how do you handle that initial phone call? Like, if they start asking you about prices and like, how do you train dogs? What are your programs? Like, how do you handle that?
If they ask about prices, I'll tell them the prices. If I'm in a hurry, I'll send them my website. But a lot of the time, if you just send them the website, they don't take the time to actually look. But a lot of people, I find, I'll just ask what their biggest issues are with the dog. And then I'll say, you know what, let's get you scheduled for your free consultation.
Right.
Let me pull up my calendar. This is what I have available. When can you do? And then they'll tell me when they can do, and we just kind of set it up. And so I've got a little bit of information off of the dogs, at least what their biggest issues is. I usually know if the dog is a bite risk or not when going into a consultation, because that's important. But yeah, and then I get a lot that are just people that will email or just kind of text. And so with that, I'll just text them back and say, hey, we offer free consultations. What's a good day for you? And they'll usually say this day or that day. And then I'll give them some availability, and we just kind of set it up pretty well.
Awesome. Yeah. The reason I asked is because I think a lot of people feel like they need to give away way more information during that phone call than necessary. And I encourage dog trainers that, like, even if people call you and they're like, hey, what are your prices? Just to kind of give them some answer, kind of like, hey, we really need to meet you and your dog first, more specifically your dog, and see exactly what's going on. Because if you just give them a number, it's kind of out of context, right? And then like you're a perfect example of this. You may give somebody a number on the phone, and then they'll be like, oh, that's a lot of money. Let me think about it and get back to you. Okay. But if you were to just have set a consultation with that person, went and met with them and showed them what you can really do, and, impress them, which you clearly do with all your consults, there's a higher likelihood that they would actually sign on as a client. Whereas like just giving them that number, you kind of like scared them off essentially. Right.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I've done that before where I've said, well, these are our different programs, and based on what you've told me so far, I would guess it's probably this much. But before I can give you a really solid estimate, I would definitely need to come out for the consultation and evaluate the dog.
Yeah. And by the way, and by the way, I love how you say that, like, based off what you told me. That's a brilliant thing to say, because you're kind of making them feel like, hey, this is your decision. You've told me what your dog needs, and I have this program that addresses all that directly. So I think that's a really, really smart thing to say to people, because it almost makes it seem like you're customizing your programs around that dog, even though the programs do already exist.
Yes.
Makes sense? Okay, cool. Yeah. So let me just ask you this, like, so before we went into this a little bit, you said before, your goal when we first started working together, you're doing about 8K a month, and you wanted us to hit like 12. And now you've been consistently hitting 20, 18, 22. I feel like you really wanted to, you're probably on the path to 30 pretty soon, just depending on your availability. But like, what are your goals for the next, like, for 2022? Like, what would you like to see happen in your business?
So as of right now, I would really like to hit the 20K for a couple months in a row. If things continue to go well like that, then I have a specific person in mind that I would like to hire come about spring.
Mhm.
to be a third dog trainer for us. And at
Cool.
that point, then we can take a, more clientele. We're actually pretty booked out.
Mhm.
So I don't know that we'd be able to really make too much more than 24 to 26 for revenue
Mhm.
if we're fully, with 2 trainers. But if we got another one, we could definitely make some more. But as
Yeah.
of right now, I'm happy with 20K a month. So,
No problems making
but a
20K a
couple
month.
months ago, I was happy with 8. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, your standards can change like that, like I've experienced that in my own life many times. And a lot of my clients do, where you just get to a place where you're like, if I could just make $8,000, that's $100,000 a year business, right? $96,000. Or, if I could just make, 6 figures, I could just make 10 grand a month. And then you get there and you're like, I could keep going here. Like, this didn't like completely change I always, say like, I'm not vacationing in the south of France now because I make, $100,000 a year. So you can always kind of keep pushing it. But it's also about being comfortable too, and like living a lifestyle that you want, because at a certain point when it comes to growing from, just hitting $100,000, like if you want to have $500,000 in a year, you need to start doing things very differently. So it's about, when you own your own business, you got to be happy with your lifestyle as well.
Yeah, I've definitely found that that's a big part. And that's part of why I changed some of my programs where we're not taking as many board and trains, because it took a lot out of me and stress and anxiety and everything. And so I've found what works for me basically. And I can still take some board and trains, but I'm not booked out on constant board and trains. And that has made a big difference for me.
Awesome. All right, cool. Well, listen, last question here, and then we'll wrap things up because I know you're busy. You got some dogs going right now.
Yeah.
If you could give any advice to somebody who was in your situation, like prior, like even just a couple of months ago, or even a couple of years ago, what would you recommend to dog trainers?
That's
a loaded question.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
You need to find a way to be completely confident in yourself as a trainer, if you're not already, and be confident in what you're selling.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it, is you need to, because pricing is a big thing, but a lot of people, like you're saying, will charge $50 for an hour. And if that's all you think your time is worth, then something needs to change. And so a lot of it is the confidence. Because people will read that when you're in your consultations, people will read that in your go home lessons. So find ways to build confidence, find ways to have a life outside of your job. That's a huge thing too, because as a dog trainer, man, it takes up your whole life and it sucks out everything. And so you need to leave work at work, even if you work from home, like set yourself hours. After those hours, don't take phone calls, don't train dogs, all that kind of stuff. Take care of yourself and then be confident in yourselves.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. Yeah. It's very easy just to, when you're an entrepreneur or you're a business owner, let it totally consume your life. And all of a sudden you find yourself working, until 10 or 11 at night. And you're like, when do I actually take time off here? Or you're working through lunch or working through dinner. And so I think that's super smart. And then, totally. I mean, when it comes to pricing and believing what you're selling, that's a massive piece of this. Is if you don't feel confident in what you're selling, that's going to come across when you're trying to sell to people. And if you don't believe it, they're not going to believe it.
Yep. Get away from words like and mumbling and stuff like that. Be confident in yourself.
Yeah,
you gotta
exactly. Awesome. Cool. All right, Nellie. Well, I'll let you go. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to sit down and do this with me. This was super awesome. We'll do another check-in maybe in a couple months, and we'll see where you're at then. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Kevin.
All right, Nellie. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.